Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. I'm the host, T Money, and today I'm going to be doing a fight recap. Abdullah Mason versus Carlos Ornelas. Now, I just want to say this about the state of boxing. It's in a real weird place because everybody want to be the A side and people are not really fighting each other and everybody wants to be the top guy. A lot of people need to step up to the plate and just fight each other. That's pretty much it. Period, point blank. Y'all need to fight each other. Everybody want to be the A side. Nobody want to be the B side. 135 division that is loaded with all these fighters and nobody's fighting each other. Everybody fighting all these unknown guys. And you got the 140 division that's stacked. Nobody's fighting each other. You got people stepping up 2 or 3 weight classes just to make a fight. And it seemed like, boxing now is just really about money. So I love to see those who just go out there and be active, fight 2 or 3 times a year. Or those that just step up to the plate. And that'd be great. Jump up in weight classes, unify belts. I just want to see some real competition in the sport. And I do think that it is in a weird space because, nobody wants to fight each other. So let's get straight to it, man. So I didn't really get a chance to catch all the fights, but the first fight I did get a chance to catch, it was a featherweight bout, 8 rounds. Dana Coolwell versus Albert Chop Chop Gonzalez. Now, Chop Chop Gonzalez is under Robert Garcia, who is a great teacher and a trainer. I'm a real big fan of his. He has some great fighters in his camps. He worked with Maidana before. It's a difference between a teacher and a trainer. A teacher shows you new ways to box. A trainer just go out there, go in the motions. We running this, we doing this, we hitting the bag. But a teacher will really show you how to box. And Robert Garcia is a great teacher in the sport of boxing. So I love to see him working with young fighters still, being active. He was the 2011 and 2012 trainer of the year. So shout out to Robert Garcia. So coming out in that first round, it was really just a feel out round between Coolwell and Chop. They was both just filling each other out, trying to see what's going to work with what. I did notice that Coolwell was trying to set Chop up to land a right hand. And Chop was just pretty much just working his jab and just, it was just pretty much a fill-out round. So the second round, Chop started to walk him down, trying to cut off the ring, really just be aggressive, make Coolwell fight off the back foot. But Coolwell was trying to land a right hand and trying to make Chop walk into a shot. So it was really like a high IQ type fight if you really look at it from that point of view. But not really a lot of aggression coming out of these fighters. But Chop was doing a great job at working the body and landing shots up top, throwing great combinations. Coolwell was kind of using Chop Chop aggression against him. So it's like if he coming forward and Coolwell had to fight off the back foot, he was hitting him with some good counter shots, and he was pretty much making him walk into a lot of shots because he was fighting off his back foot, and Chop was pretty much just aggressive, just putting his head down and just walking forward. It was a good exchange on the ropes in the 4th round. That's around the time I want to say the action really picked up. In the 4th round. The 4th round, Coolwell looked a little gassed a little bit after the exchange they had on the rope, so he kind of maintained the distance, was kind of just using his legs, using his feet to kind of move around the ring, use the whole ring to make Chop a little frustrated because he is like an aggressive type fighter, just straightforward. And in the 6th round, it was another good round for Coolwell. He was doing what he had to do, maintain the distance, use his jab, make him walk into shots. And in the 7th round, Chop hit Coolwell with a big right hand, almost lost his balance, almost went down, but he stayed on his feet. And then after that, I pretty much saw Chop just pretty much put on the pressure for the remainder of the fight. And the fight ended up going the distance, and Albert Gonzalez ended up getting the split decision win in the fight. Now, this is the fight that I really was waiting on. Big fan of Abdullah Mason. I've been following him for about 2 years now. So let's get straight to it, man. So it was a lightweight bout at 135 for 10 rounds. Abdullah Mason versus Carlos Ornelas. Carlos Ornelas. I hope I'm pronouncing that name right. I don't want to butcher nobody's name. So I kind of noticed, just from his previous fights, he's a high volume puncher. He's fast. He's strong, athletic. Abdullah is a great fighter to me. Exciting, electric. He's must-see TV. One of the fighters that's active all throughout the year. He fights at least 2 or 3 times in a year. So I'm a real big fan of Abdullah Mason. And he came out in kind of like a wide stance with a high guard. I did kind of see him working his jab. And to me, he looked far superior in athleticism than Carlos Ornelas, because the way he was moving, his speed, his power, his conditioning looked like it was on point. The levels of athleticism, it wasn't really like close because, Ornelas didn't really have a lot of steam on his punches. He didn't really look too strong, too fast. Abdullah normally comes out aggressive, throws a lot of punches, but I did kind of notice that he's more patient now after those couple of knockdowns he faced about 2 fights ago. Second round, Ornelas ended up getting knocked down with an overhand left, and he kind of had a late reaction, and he took a knee. It's good to see that Abdullah was just in top shape. It was good to see him take his craft serious. It's good to see him just go out there and just dominate. And, his athleticism was pretty much just dominant over him. That's kind of what gave him the confidence to really go out there and do what he had to do. In the third round, it was pretty good patience from Abdullah. He's doing a great job keeping his hands up, being patient, trying to land that big shot, wait for that big shot, not really overthrow. In the fourth round, Ornelas got knocked down again, had to take a knee with another left hand landed by Abdullah Mason. And at this point, I thought the fight was over with. I thought he was going to knock him out, but he showed great patience, taking his time, trying to land that one shot instead of just going in, throwing a bunch of shots and get caught coming in. So in the sixth round, Ornelas took another knee from a late reaction of a left hand that Abdullah Mason landed. And in the sixth, after that knockdown, he just didn't look the same. His equilibrium looked like it was thrown off. Abdullah was, pretty much just putting it on him. He didn't really show me anything, Ornelas. So in the seventh round, Ornelas couldn't walk in a straight line, and the ref had to stop the fight. And Abdullah Mason gets his 8th consecutive knockout win on his birthday. He just turned 21. Shout out to Youngin. Keep doing your thing, man. What I do want to see more from Abdullah Mason, I do want to see more ring IQ, more adjustments. I do want to see more counterpunching. Everything else he does is pretty much on point, fast, strong, athletic, good conditioning. I definitely want to see more ring IQ, more adjustments, and way more counterpunching, because if he's just sitting there waiting for one shot instead of just catching and throwing, then, he'd probably get a knockout quicker because he got all the tools to be a great fighter. So shout out to Abdullah Mason, man. Big fan. Keep doing your thing. In the next fight, it was a super lightweight bout for 10 rounds between Elvis Rodriguez and Lindolfo Delgado. I hope I pronounced his name right. So, coming out into this round, it was an early fill-out round for both fighters. Delgado put pressure on Elvis Rodriguez pretty much the whole fight. And Delgado was kind of, setting up Rodriguez with a lot of feints to the body, feint jabs to the head, trying to land those big shots. So for the most part, it was pretty much a chess match starting out in those early rounds. And then Elvis really felt the heat around the third or fourth or fifth round, I want to say. And Delgado pretty much was just walking him down, putting pressure on him, and Elvis started to return fire. It was being made to fight off his back foot, and the work ended up picking up in the fifth round between both fighters. So it was good exchanges. This was a good fight, actually. I don't really know much about these fighters. It's a top-ranked undercard, so top rank is terrible. Both fighters had another good exchange in the sixth round, but at this point, Rodriguez's face was just looking, crazy. He was looking swole. Both eyes was purple. And I kind of didn't really see him winning this fight just based off of the feints and everything I seen Delgado was making him walk into. And it could be it was up until the sixth. It could have been anybody's fight up until the sixth. So in the seventh, it just didn't look like Elvis Rodriguez was going to win this fight. His face was real bad. And in round 9, Delgado get hit flush on the chin with a straight left hand from Rodriguez. Almost goes down. But that was pretty much the only bright spot for Rodriguez in this fight. He's a pretty good fighter, pretty good boxer, but in my opinion, Delgado just landed the cleaner, better shots, and Delgado ended up winning this fight by majority decision. So this was actually a good fight. So for the main event, it was a heavyweight bout for 10 rounds between Guldo Vianello and Richard Torres Jr., 2 heavyweights. So what I did notice in this fight that Torres pretty much just came out super aggressive like a bull, just throwing bombs, and Guldo was doing a lot of clinching and holding, couldn't really handle the aggression. He was another fighter that was forced to fight off his back foot just from Torres walking him down, and it was a lot of clinching. And, being a fight fan, that's something I just don't want to see. I do want to see them box. They could have kept the fight in the middle of the ring, or Guldo could have forced the fight in the middle of the ring and just outboxed them, or used his aggression against him, counterpunch Torres, but he was just doing a lot of clinching. So in the second round, Guldo got deducted a point for holding. It was just way too much clinching going on in this fight. It was a good fight for the most part, but, just way too much clinching in those early rounds. And Guldo actually caught Torres coming in with a right hand because Torres was constantly putting pressure on him. So that was a good shot landed by him, but that was probably like his only bright spot of the whole fight because he was pretty much just clinching the whole time and forced the fight off his back foot. He looked tired. They both looked sluggish by the time it was the 5th round. After the 5th round, they both exchanged some big shots. So going into the 6th round, they both looked gassed. Gordo was, had his mouth open, breathing heavy. Didn't really have his legs under him. Couldn't really do nothing laterally moving. Didn't really see a lot of head movement from him. Just standing there, just taking shots and clinching. So Torres was just pretty much just putting belt to him. So by the time the 6th round came, Torres constantly just kept the pressure on him, was landing some big shots, but man, that dude Gordo, man, he just wouldn't go down. They called him the Gladiator, and he definitely showed his heart. So round 7, 8, 9, and 10, Torres was pretty much just kept the same game plan, walk him down, counter, hit on the clinch. Torres just pretty much just won this fight. So the fight ended up going the distance. Unanimous decision, Torres wins. I do want to see more fighters fight in the middle of the ring rather than just doing all that clinching and stuff. That's kind of like not what I want to see as a fight fan. But this was a great fight. This was a good card. This was an okay main event. So the fight grade, I'm going to get this fight grade like a C+. Only because I didn't really know a lot of the fighters. And really a lot of work that these fighters could have done to sharpen their skills and everything. So I'm going to get this fight grade like a C+. And that will be all for my fight recap. Make sure you like, share, and comment. See y'all next time.